A very good afternoon to everybody. Welcome back to Safe Educare's IELTS test preparation, English proficiency and help videos. I hope everybody today is excited because I have bought something new and I hope to share this with you. Uh, Today's session is majorly going to be about speaking, the IELTS speaking, but we will not be discussing the format, neither we would be discussing, the cue cards. We would actually be discussing a way through which you can improve your English. All right. The reason why I have bought this particular, show today is because a couple of weeks back, some of my students requested me to provide them tips and tricks that what should they do in order to improve their English. And since I've been in the training profession of language proficiency tests for a long time, I decided to do a little bit of research and I dug some information out. And from my collections, I was actually able to bring something very unique. This was, I had prepared a couple of years back for some of my students who were facing issues in terms of catching up on English in terms of its speaking assessment. And it included 10 important tips and tricks which you need to know if you want to improve your English. Now, I do understand that there are a lot of, similar techniques available for people who wish to improve on their English, but I have decided to break most of them down and give you simple 10 steps, 10 simple steps which you could follow. Yes, it would need a little bit of dedication, it would need a little bit of hard work, because I believe that without these two aspects, you will not be able to bring out that potential of speaking like a professional speaker. Now, you also have to remember that these tips and tricks are based upon your own knowledge of English, right? So if you are someone who's just adapted or is just adapting towards learning to speak English, who can speak at a length but cannot go beyond say around 2.5 minutes, who have a problem, or those who are suffering from a problem of confidence or probably lack of you could say content when you speak, then this is the right guidance for you. All right. But those people who already have a good hold on English and who wish to move even further, yes, you can use these tips and tricks to improvise so that you're able to get a good score on your English IELTS examination or probably any other proficiency test. All right. This is not related only specifically to IELTS. All right. This can be used in a way where you can improve your English as a whole. It could be something that you're preparing for a speech or presentation and you want to work on your English, probably for an interview or for a conversation. So these 10 techniques will help you everywhere. But yes, if you are determined to give your IELTS examination or any other proficiency examination and you want to improve your conversation skills in English, these are the important tips and tricks for you. All right. So before we move towards the PowerPoint presentation, all right, I would like to open this segment up, all right, that, speaking English, all right, is the same when you compare other skill sets such as dancing, cooking, learning how to paint, or learning how to ride a bicycle. I'm pretty sure everyone's done this at some point in their life, all right? What makes it different from these skill sets is because it's a language, all right? You yourself are the canvas, okay? Or you could say you yourself are the environment on which this particular skill set is going to grow. So it's very important that you also, okay, apart from your grammar, apart from your content, learn the ability of how to use English, all right? And that can come through a variety of techniques. Earlier, when technology wasn't that available to people and when internet connections were only limited to certain areas of the city, people used to read books, they used to read newspapers, they engaged in healthy conversations. And yes, English spoken at that point of time was a little bit different as compared to today. All right. So so from the area where I come, the era from where I come, we did not have access to such unique tools like Google or internet okay, or translators or Google Translate. All right, so we actually had to work hard. We had to push ourselves towards learning it. But since the technology has given us the benefit of learning English from various sources around the globe, so why not utilize it? All right, so please remember that the content you're looking forward is already available to you, that's on the internet, but these tips and tricks will help you how to utilize that content in a proper manner so that you're able to build up a good English portfolio for yourself. Right. Now let's begin with the PowerPoint presentation which I have prepared for you, right? And through that PowerPoint presentation, we would be able to, understand the important areas, how you could improve your speaking, okay? And also, what can you do in terms of conversation? How can you learn new words? All right. So this is something that's very important. So let me share my screen and let the viewers see. All right, so here we go. These are the 10 ways to improve your IELTS speaking. All right. Now, first things first, all right? Do not take English as, on the same level as your ordinary languages or your local or your mother tongue languages, okay? Every language has a speciality. Every language is spoken with a dialect. Every language has its own uniqueness and its own different features. All right. So first of all, if you are a candidate who is just learning the basics of English, all right, your first job would be to learn as much as possible, not just the grammar, but also other important aspects of this language. For example, words, conversations, greetings. All right. If you are someone who's already halfway through towards learning your English language, but have a difficulty in terms of, say, speaking your heart out, or probably cannot find enough content, then yes, you can use various tools which I will suggest in this PPT, through which you should be able to improve your English. All right. So the first and the most important point, all right, which I would like to put up, okay, which I don't think many people might be aware of it, is talking to yourself. Now, for a lot of people, talking to themselves is like opening up, sharing your own thoughts with your own self. From a psychological perspective, that's true and weird as well. But when you're learning a language, all right, talking to yourself can be one of the best remedies. Why? Is because, first of all, when you practice with your own self, all right, you make a compromise or you come to an agreement with your own self, what exactly is that you want to say and how exactly do you wish to speak. Okay, because talking to yourself will not only give you a clear picture about what you want to say, but doing it in front of a mirror, all right, on a mirror practice, will allow you to see and reflect, okay, your emotions, the expressions. How do you sound yourself? How do you sound to yourself when you speak? All right. This can also be done through recording your own voice and then listening back, because you'll be able to understand the flow of ideas. What sort of speaking material do you have? How do you sound? All right. These are some of the major areas where I feel you should be able to understand what it needs to be a competent speaker. So if you have just researched a speech, heard somebody say something, and you try to speak it or try to say it on your own, you'll come to know what is the difference, okay? The confidence, the pitch, the tone, okay, the fluency. These are important aspects which you need to understand before speaking English, all right? And only by talking to yourself you can do that. Now, how can you do that? It's very simple. Say, for example, you've prepared a cue card, a topic on your favorite restaurant. So before executing it in front of your examiner or the next day, try to speak it while facing yourself in a mirror. All right. This way you'll be able to see what the examiner may see when you are sitting in front of him and speaking. The expressions, the boldness, the confidence, okay? How do you actually sound when you speak? These are small little gimmicks which can help you develop a sort of confidence that yes, you can do that. All right. And the best part is that when you practice it with your own self in front of the mirror, okay, it will give you that confidence because you can see yourself speak English, you can listen to yourself, you can see your expressions in the mirror. This way, you can generate the confidence to go beyond your potential. All right. So, this I believe is very important. I would say that if you're not comfortable doing it, completely fine. But there are a lot of good speakers and powerful speakers who always devote an hour, hour and a half to rehearse their speeches, to rehearse their quotes, okay, or to rehearse their speakings, because only through this do they gain that confidence of putting it up in front of a public or in front of an examiner. So you have to try this out. All right. After trying it, I'm pretty sure that you will, be in good terms with this, because you also understand that when you speak, okay, or when you speak to someone, nobody's going to give you feedback in a casual manner. But when you do it in your own self as practice, you'll be able to see that in front of you, and that really makes a big difference. So talking to yourself is a good exercise. Make sure that you integrate that in your speaking. Practice every day. Try to practice that with the door closed if you're not confident. So this way you should be able to give it your best. All right. So talking to yourself is one good way of improving on your English. Now, learning new words, yes, it can affect your speech. It can affect your ideas, because the more number of words you have, the better of your chance of scoring good scores, or impressing the other person in terms of your language. But the problem that people face is that they have words. Unfortunately, language doesn't work that way. All right, it doesn't work if you have multitude of words in front of you, you've memorized them. But the problem is that if you do not know how to use them in the right way, these words would be useless. It's like shopping for vegetables. When you purchase a lot of vegetables, but since you only know how to cook a few of them, just because you know the names of some vegetables, you will not be able to use them, and they will be aside rotting for eternity. All right. So learning new words, yes, but there is a tip or a trick how to devote and integrate that into your speaking pattern. All right. And that can be done through two ways. One, that once you find out a couple of new words, okay, first understand the usage of it. All right. See someone speak those words, and then try to integrate that into similar sentences. All right. The second way is to choose a couple of words which are frequently used. For example, fantastic, excellent, mind-blowing, awesome. All right. These are some good ways to describe things, events, atmospheres, experiences. Try to first learn these couple of words and try to integrate them regularly in your speaking. And then when the chance arises, or when you have an opportunity, try to use them. All right. Or what a lot of people do is they get really good words, all right, with really powerful meanings. They're also able to frame perfect sentences on it. But the thing is, they don't use it. So automatically, the functionality of these words and the power of these words will fall, because at the time of the speaking test, they will never be able to use these words because they haven't used it before in their daily life or in their daily speeches. So this is the reason why I always suggest my students that if you are going to use a word, okay, say for example as imperative, all right, or deviated, all right, do not just use it in its physical form. Try to integrate that in your speech, okay? And if you have difficulty in using that, first figure out the meaning of it. How does it work? Look at the synonyms, look at the grammatical usage, and then go and listen to these words. If you just search Google that you want to sentence with this particular word, you'll be able to find it out. And then you can listen to conversations which have these words. So automatically you will be able to use it. So always remember to use those words which you are able to grasp quickly, which you can relate to, at the maximum in your day-to-day lives. All right. If there is a word which you will not be able to relate to on an everyday basis, there is no use learning that word. All right. So this is Why I am saying is because if you have a habit of finding new words, if you love using new vocabulary, this is the best trick through which you can integrate these new words into your pool of resources. Otherwise, just framing a list of it and keeping it in front of you and thinking, okay, I found these 80 words, I'm going to use them. Unless and until you don't master those 80 words on a daily basis, you will never be able to use them. So the best method is to find those words, listen to speech recognitions on the same words, try to figure out the grammatical aspect behind it, and then try to use it. If you're confused, you can always ask your trainer. He or she will be able to guide you in the right direction towards using these words. If these words are difficult for you to use, my suggestion is to drop it. Try to come down to lesser difficult words which you can remember and use. Right? Because see, finally, words are like bricks. All right. Once you place them, they would be there. But the way you place them makes your house look better. So you need to know how to play around with words, need to know which appropriate word to use. There are a lot of examples given online which you could use on a regular basis, but yes, you need to use them. Another point is that when you go to a restaurant or when you visit an area where like a garden, try to relate these words to the environment or to the food that you're ordering, to the ambience of the restaurant. Okay, so you'll be able to link these in a practical manner, and this can really help you actually achieve a good speaking target, and in the end you'll have really good amount of words on which you've established good amount of control. So this is what I would say you do when you are talking to yourself in front of the mirror. Try to experiment with words. Okay, try to figure out new words, but make sure that you use them every day. All right, so this way you should gather enough efforts to have good amount of vocabulary available at your disposal. All right. Number 3, work on your pronunciation. Now see guys, pronunciation is very important. All right, what happens if you're watching a movie? Okay, the movie is really good. Okay, it has CGI graphics, it has a lot of action sequences to it, car chases, plane chases, all right, canyons, but unfortunately the audio is not audible. Would you be able to enjoy that movie? No, you will not, because the audio itself, all right, signifies the importance, because it also throws a light to the things happening in the background. Similarly, when you speak, okay, if your pronunciations are not clear or if your pronunciations are wrong, no matter what kind of content you have, it will not throw the same kind of impact. And bad pronunciations lead to bad English or a bad language, and it's an insult to the language. So before using complicated words, make sure that you have the proper pronunciations, because if you mispronounce something, that would be wrong on your part. It's okay, you learn it that way, but you need to know the correct pronunciations. Now for that, you can always refer to Google. If you have a word which you have read and you do not know the pronunciation, you can always put it into Google or ask Alexa, and she will definitely, or Google will definitely give you the right pronunciation. Okay, there are different pronunciations for Australian words, for English, and for UK based English words. All right, for example, lorry. So lorry basically means spelling, if I spell it out, Lorry. So lorry in UK, okay, English means a small van or a truck. Okay, that's called a lorry. And if you say Lorry in American English, it means something different. Similarly, lad. Lad in British English means a boy. It's not lard. Okay, LAD. We usually have a habit of pronouncing it as lard, but it's actually lad. LAD. It's flatter. All right. So you need to know your pronunciations. Need to work on your stress levels. Need to work on your intonations. On that aspect only will you be able to pronounce. A lot of people have a habit of stressing on the word S. Okay. So again. So, no, it's actually show or so. It's not so. Okay. Similarly, shopping, sopping. So here you are mispronouncing it. All right. Similarly, pronunciation. That's how you pronounce it. But over here we say pronunciation. So it's pronoun. We are adding an O, but it's actually pronunciation. All right. So you need to know which letters are silent, which letters are active. Okay, and you also need to practice these words regularly. All right, so if you have a problem in pronouncing certain words, take the help of Google or go to your mentor. ask them the proper method of pronouncing these words. If also a lot of people have a habit of speaking very quickly, so in these areas as well, certain words may be mispronounced. So always have a habit that you make sure that you tend to take your time while pronouncing certain words, so you are able to get the correct pronunciation. Okay, the best way to do that is breaking it down. All right, if you break your word down into two parts, you should be able to do that. For example, intermediate. Intermediate. So again, intermediate, you have a connection. All right, classification. It's not classification, classification. So again, classification. So F over here is a little bit silent over there, classification. All right, so this way you should be able to develop a good pronunciation habit. Okay, so the best way to do that is open Google, all right, or any other talking app that you're using, speaking app that you're using. Speak the word. If the pronunciation is correct, it will give you a yes. Otherwise, it will give you the correct pronunciation. All right. So working on your pronunciation is very important. The fourth one is listening to conversations. Now, this is one of my favorite tips. Why? Is because, well, a lot of English, all right, you pick up when you listen to conversations, all right, because I believe that when you are in school, okay, you basically learn whatever your teachers tell you, but you additionally learn from observing and listening to a lot of other important areas. For example, from movies, lectures, seminars, speeches, observatories. Okay, so again, listening to conversations really help you, okay, in many ways. For example, when you're actually watching a series called, say, for example, Friends, or The Big Bang Theory, you can always relate to the kind of conversations the people would do. Okay, the way they greet themselves, the way they crack jokes, the way they express their sadness, the way they gossip, and these really have a big impact on us, because yes, some of these characters are our favorite. Similarly, like we pick up on Hindi dialogues and try to use muhavras when we are talking to people in Hindi or Gujarati. Similarly, in English also, you can pick up a lot just by listening to conversations. Why? Conversations can help us understand various contexts involved in face-to-face conversations, having group discussions, presentations, arguments, appeals. All right. So because these conversations, when we listen to them or watch them, they are based in various environments. Some of these conversations may be taking place in schools. Some of these conversations may be taking place in a government office or in a court, or probably at a cafe. So we can always relate to such conversations. Why? Is because you would always have somebody sitting on a sofa, and there would be a person who would just jump in and say, "Hi, what's up? How are you? I hope you have not been waiting for long." And the person replies, "Well, not for long, but I was actually planning to go back home. I'm really insulted." Is this the kind of time a person arrives at? So see, here he's expressing his anger. Okay, so this way we're able to pick up a lot of aspects of daily conversations. Similarly, in movies also, they have slangs that they use. They have a lot of proverbs that they use, or they have a lot of conversations related to some other aspects. For example, today is the 4th of July, and we know that once again we'll be fighting for our freedom. This is from a very good movie called Independence Day, which was released back in the 1990s. So this way you're able to pick up on a lot of conversations. So listening to conversations is always very healthy. It's really very good. Okay, and yes, it depends upon the kind of conversations that you are listening to. If you're listening to conversations on debates, you'll be able to get a lot of good vocabulary. If you're listening to conversations between friends, you might be able to get short amount of vocabulary, but you'll be able to get good amount of greetings, messages. Okay, if you're listening to conversations which are happening, say, in a classroom or probably in a courthouse, you'll be able to understand the importance of authority. So this way, listening to conversations can really help boost your language score. All right, so it's integrate listening to conversations. Always make sure that you listen to good amount of English audio, good amount of English videos, watch them, because this is very important. Right. Practice with a native speaker. Now, why have I placed this point over here is because a native speaker of English does not need to be an American or a British. He can also be a person who has really good command over the English language and is able to provide you a good amount of feedback. So, practicing with a person who has a solid foundation in English will not only improve your confidence but also help you to learn new amounts of sentences, new amounts of creative ideas that you could integrate in your day-to-day lives. All right. Now, the reason why you need to practice with a native speaker or someone who already knows the language or who's really has a good command over the language, because these people understand you better. So you do not have to be afraid when you are trying to, strike a conversation with them. Plus, they would be able to help you identify the weak points in your structuring. They would help you understand pronunciation. They can also give you tips and tricks, okay, of how to say, what to say, and when to say it. So this way, by practicing with a native speaker, you can really get good insights. Because when you practice with your own self, you're able to make a difference, but say around 20 to 30%. But when you again practice with a native speaker, this confidence really boosts up to 70%. Another important aspect of having a conversation with a native speaker is that you can prove that you can speak English. And that is not just for the people around you, but for your own self, because you yourself will be listening to this conversation, because you yourself are present in front of this particular person who is asking you questions, who you are answering to, and that definitely would have a great impact on the way you speak your English, because that removes your fear, that removes your hesitation, that removes your ability of, I can't do this. So again, it makes you really self-reliant, and you should be able to speak openly. Also, it makes you a little bit more approachable, a little bit more flexible. And when you have practice with a couple of people who know good amount of English, so that can really help you in the long run, because when your final examination of your speaking arrives, you will be confident, okay, because you've already spoken to people who are at the same level of the examiner, or probably a little bit higher, or somebody at least who's higher than your caliber. So this way, you can express yourself openly. You can ask questions, okay? You will not get that examination shock, or you will not shut your doors down in fear. So this really happens especially for people who have had English language training, but they haven't had this exposure of speaking with someone who has native command or good command on English. And especially when, you don't want to experiment with your English in the open, this can cause problems. So in your relative circle, in your social circle, in your friend circle, or you can always, strike up conversations with strangers, or you can always use the ISP or your telephone mobile service provider, customer service department. You can always speak to them, okay, because these people really have, I would say, good and average command on English. But yeah, you can strike a conversation with them, ask them about plans, talk to them about how their day is going on, because they are being paid to talk to the customer. So you can always call up your local ISP provider or your mobile service provider and talk to them regarding any issue that you have, or give a feedback regarding your mobile phone service, anything like this. All right, so this really helps you to build up a lot of good confidence. Okay. Like we talked about confidence, you have to learn how to be confident, guys. There is nothing that cannot be accomplished if you are confident, and especially in a language examination, confidence plays a key role. Now, a lot of people, even though they have the confidence to speak English, they are nervous, they develop cold feet, and unfortunately, they, give up. Now, this happens because you are not forcing yourself to go beyond your fears. And being unconfident can land you into areas where you have not even imagined, okay? It can actually snatch away the potential of being a team player in a group, or it can really cost you a good job, and it can also cost you your position in the social circle. So speaking a good language and being good at communication really helps, because if you're good at communication, you'll be good at networking. If you're good at networking, you'll be able to connect to people faster. And if you're able to connect to people faster, no matter which business you're in, you'll be able to share those ideas with people. So being confident, especially in your communication, really makes a difference. And if it's English, that will really be the cherry on the cake. So always remember, learn to be confident. Now, how you can be confident? By practicing self-speech, okay? Talking to yourself, talking with a native speaker, expressing yourself, especially when you go out with your friends in restaurants, when you go to Domino's Pizza, you know, give the order in English. Excuse me, I would like to have a plain cheese margarita, please. If you're unable to spell the word margarita, all right, you can tell them I would like to have a plain cheese pizza. They themselves will confirm the word margarita for you, or you can just Google, look it, and it will give you the pronunciation. Also have a attitude of engaging people in conversations. Excuse me, can I have a glass of water? I would like to have a cold water, please. I believe that the table which I'm sitting in is not clean. Can you have somebody please clean it up for me? This is the way you can develop confidence, because English is supposed to be spoken outside for practice and for your own personal learning purposes or preferences. You can do it at your home, but you will never be able to establish full command over it unless and until you use it outside, all right, in front of a stranger. If you see a foreigner, go up to them, talk to them. Hello, my name is Gaurav, can I help you? I've seen you've been taking photographs. Do you like Ahmedabad city? This is the best way to engage with people. Don't be afraid. The worst thing that might happen is the person might say, I'm sorry, I don't want to have a conversation with you. You don't actually have to take it in a negative manner. But the best part is the person responded. All right. So if he responded, which means your English was pretty good. This is how you need to self-establish your own confidence, because if you don't do it, you will not be able to face the examiner, and you might, there might be thousands of questions might be popping up. And even though you're a well speaker, a good speaker, a confident speaker, because of lack of confidence in yourself, you will not be able to deliver the kind of assessment you want, and you will not be confident. And that can happen because when you're listening to yourself, you feel guilty that I'm not giving my best. And when this happens, it can create problems. So always make sure to have confidence. Confidence is the key in speaking. Without confidence, you can't speak. All right. Technology can help you learn better, definitely. All right. Today, everyone's blessed with technology, especially for people who want to learn languages. Now, people are able to pick up cooking skills, dancing skills online. Ever since the lockdown had taken place in March, people have shifted their services and they're learning online. So there are multiple of apps available where you can improvise your English, improve your English, learn new words, learn new techniques, okay, engage with people. There are a lot of social networking sites available for people who can join these groups as per their interests, so that if you have interest in speaking or in English, you can join a group that has English conversations. There are a lot of movies available, conversations available for beginners. There is a lot to do, and best part is this is also available on your mobile phone. All right, so instead of wasting time, I would suggest at least keep around 1.5 hours in your entire day. Listen to English, listen to a movie, listen to songs, listen to a conversation, watch a debate, watch a movie, all right, and try to integrate that into your day-to-day surroundings. Only this way will you be able to use the best that technology can offer. There are certain apps available which are like replicas of your speaking test. They ask you questions and you have to touch the speaker and you just have to speak your answer, and they will be giving the feedback at the end of the test. There are certain applications where if you speak, it will check for your grammar and pronunciation. So this is a very good way through which technology can be integrated, and people are using it. People are not only using it to learn English, they're using it to learn other languages like German, French, okay, Spanish, even Lebanese. So people are using mobile applications to learn. It is a really good tool, and it is the best way to pick up on your language skills. So if today, if after the session is over, when you go home from your work, or from, if you're already at home in the late evening, try to go to YouTube, put up on English conversations, try to search for a series which you can watch. There is hundreds of series available on Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hotstar in English. So you can watch these with subtitles. So this improves your English knowledge. All right. So always use technology as much as possible. Another important thing which I wanted to focus on is, which not many people would know or tell you, is that English is basically, or any language is like poetry. It needs to have rhythm. Right. Unless and until there is rhythm in your speech, it will never actually be effective. Okay. For example, You have intonations. Intonations are basically, controllers in your voice, when to put the syllable stress, when not to put the syllable stress. So when you talk about intonations, or when you talk about, the kind of heaviness in your tone, the lowness in your tone, when to stress on certain words, okay, this creates a rhythm. All right. Always remember, there is nobody in the world who speaks in one single tone. Nobody says, "Hi, my name is ABCDEFG. I am calling from Ahmedabad." No, it sounds robotic. Okay, it doesn't sound appealing. All right, and first and best part is that it is not interesting, and this is not the way you're supposed to speak. Speaking should be like a rhythm. Like, "Hi, I actually went to Ahmedabad yesterday, and there I had the opportunity to visit the Kakaria Lake. It was fantastic. I didn't know Kakari Lake was so big." So you see, there is the expressiveness in my tone. The intonations are going up and down. This is the rhythm. This is the flow. Okay. So any language, when it has a rhythm, allows you to be more fluent, allows you to be more confident, more clear, okay, more creative. And this, in the end, language is what? It's the sound. All right. So unless and until you sound good, you sound nice, it will not have an effect. If you stutter a lot, and again, a lot of people have a habit of repeating things. And when I went there, this is causing the rhythm to go. So here you need to take a pause. And when I went there, I saw there was a small dog waiting for me. And he was so cute. I could hardly imagine my eyes. Then again, take a pause if you want to build up the other context, instead of repeating the same thing again. Why? When you repeat, stretch, and then say it again, you are not letting the rhythm flow as it's supposed to. Okay, you're controlling the rhythm, and that is when the problem happens. This is when there would be issues in your tone. This is when there would be grammatical mistakes. This is when fillers would come, and. See, these cause the rhythm to drop, and you don't sound fluent. You don't sound clear. Okay, it's riddled with issues. Even though the grammar is correct, the overall presentation does not confident enough. So this would be a hit on your speaking. So understand the flow of words and ideas. Learn how to speak. Okay, in a conversational class, if you look at some of the conversational classes that are going online, even on YouTube, they have free videos. They tell you how to speak. Okay, pronunciations of words, or how to like when to pause. Okay. For example, if you want to pause and continue, so how would you do that? For example, "Hi, I'm calling from ABC Limited, and I really would appreciate if you could connect me with Mr. Anderson, because his payment has been due and he's not, receiving his calls. So I would like to leave a personal message. Would you be kind enough to do that, please?" Okay, thank you. See, this way. So when you have a rhythm, you can integrate politeness. Okay, you can integrate softness, a softcore approach. This can only be possible if there's a rhythm in your tone. If there is no rhythm, you will not be able to speak fluently, because it's a flat tone. And when you speak in a flat tone, you don't sound appealing, right? So these are important aspects that you need to remember. And finally, yes, make mistakes, make a lot of them, okay, but learn from them. All right, mistakes, when it happens, you just don't need to leave it. Okay, mistake done, all right, I'll forget about it. No, learn from it. Make sure that mistake doesn't happen again. This is for your own good. A lot of people, when they make mistakes and they get feedback, they feel, okay, that they have done something terrible in their life. No, it's not that. Unless and until you make a mistake, you will never understand how to say it in a proper manner. So accountability is very important, especially when you are speaking. Okay, I'm pretty sure that even if it's not a language test, not English, but what you say to a person, if you make a mistake in saying something, you have to accept, okay, I was wrong. So when this happens, you're cool about it. So the same thing can also happen while you're learning English. You mispronounce words. You may not know the correct terminology for certain things. You may not be able to complete a sentence. That does not mean you're a bad person or don't know how to speak English. No. That means that you have made a mistake. Now is the right time to work on it. So whatever mistakes you've made that day, you can have a discussion with your trainer or for someone who's helping you out in your learning. And this way you can avoid making mistakes or bring them down to a level where they are not at all, caught. Okay. Learning from our mistakes always makes us positive. It makes us, confident. And in any case, in any skill, you have to learn by falling down, right? The more you fall, the more you'll be able to learn. There has not been a single person, okay, who would say that I've not made a mistake in my life. Even me, being a language trainer for all these years, I was very shy when it came to, talking to public. I had a public fear. But then I made mistakes, I learned from them, and I kept on growing. Why? Because I was determined to remove this fear. I couldn't speak to two or more people when I was 21, 22. But yeah, through sound training with my mentors, the people who I've worked with over the years, the language coaches, the people in my management, and all these years of training in various segments of the industry, I learned from my mistakes and I was able to, go beyond them, come over them. So don't let these mistakes stop you from taking an English test. If you are somebody who's just started your English career right now, who's learning IELTS, who's developing an attitude, who's developing the grammar, and you are facing problems, a lot of mistakes, continue making them, but work on it. Try to take one mistake at a time. Don't try to solve all of them at a point of time. It doesn't work that way. All right. First take your advice on that mistake which happens the most, very often or repeatedly. This way you'll be able to develop a habit of clearing out your mistakes, and then you should be able to see a difference in your speaking. All right. So this was the end of the PowerPoint presentation. I hope that everybody who has joined us today was able to understand the concept of speaking from my understanding. All right. Now you have to understand that this particular PowerPoint was not meant only for people who are good speakers, but for those who want to learn English. So whatever you do, these 10 tricks, okay, and these suggestions will help you to at least climb the ladder towards your English speaking needs quickly. So this way, you should be able to develop a confident attitude and a non-compromising attitude towards learning English. Secondly, by learning new words and integrating them, you should be able to build up on your pool of vocabulary, like I suggested. That don't just memorize or mug up a word. Try to find out the real usage of it. Go to Google or the internet or ask your trainer and try to integrate a couple of these words every day into your speaking. So make a list. 5 words, 5 days. Use them for a week. Then next, looking at the entire 21-day period or 30-day, you should have around 10 to 15 new words at your disposal, which you are able to use frequently. So this way you can do that. Secondly, learn to speak with a native speaker. While learning with a native speaker, you should be able to develop that self-confidence that yes, I can speak English and I can speak it with anybody. All right. Also, at the same point of time, make sure that you talk to your own self. Talking to your own self helps you bring out that potential of confidence within you. You can practice various kinds of skits, dialogues, sentences, so you know what exactly is going to be presented in front of the examiner. All right. Pronunciation is also a very important aspect. Proper pronunciations make your English sound better. And this can also work in your favor because mispronunciations may not actually deduct marks in the IELTS examination, but in a normal conversation, it may affect, the judgment of the listener. Listen to more amount of conversations can help you gain a good foothold about what to say, when to say, how to say it. And there's a lot of information there which you could use in day-to-day speaking. And at the same point of time, learn to use integrated technology because technology can really help you bring yourself closer to those areas which needs actual improvement. Use mobile phones to download apps through which you can practice speaking one-on-one, or use the applications like YouTube and Hotstar to listen to conversations, watch movies, which can help you. And learn from your mistakes. That's the most important part because we all make mistakes, but we have to learn how to come out of them. Only then can we learn or can we actually learn what we have been planning to. Okay, so I hope this session was helpful, productive, and I hope that this would help you encourage the proper method of learning English, and it may also motivate you to go beyond your potential and start talking mirror talking, at least start to find new words at least. All right, so I hope that our viewers, whoever is watching, please make sure to follow these tips and tricks. These are for you, and I hope that these are useful for your future or for your future IELTS examination speaking. Thank you so much once again, everybody who's joined us for this live session on Facebook today, and thank you again for spending out investing your vital time today from a busy schedule to be a part of this particular event. And we would be posting such videos for improving your conversation, ideas, brainstorming. So please follow our page Safe Educare on Facebook to have the latest updates, and we'll be back again next week with something new, something exciting. So thank you so much and have a good day.